Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hockey Talkie. My name is Clay. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, I want to discuss the possibility or the likelihood of Chicago being one of the hub cities for the NHL's upcoming 2014 pandemic playoff tournament summer classic extravaganza thing. Now, we know that the NHL is looking to have two hub cities, one for the Western Conference, one for the Eastern Conference, 12 teams apiece to try and keep all the teams together, minimize travel, minimize, the possibility of the spread of the coronavirus, of COVID-19, try to just mitigate those issues. And we've heard reports that Las Vegas was going to be one of those hub cities, although that hasn't been confirmed. It has been the front runner for quite a while, and definitely wouldn't be surprising if it ends up being the case. But that leaves another city to still be picked, and we've heard Canadian cities like Vancouver or Edmonton. We've heard East Coast cities like Pittsburgh or Columbus, although Columbus isn't really East Coast, but you know what I'm saying. And then we've also heard of Chicago being in the running, and certainly the mayor of Chicago is on board with the idea, but how practical is it for Chicago to be the other hub city? First and foremost, we have to look at safety. I mean, that's the reason why we're even in this situation, right? So how is Chicago, how is Cook County, how is this location handling this pandemic, and how is it trending towards when the NHL is looking to resume? Is it a safe enough place for 12 teams of players and staff to be all together, not together, but in the same location, being able to play against each other and be reasonably safe from contracting this virus over the course of about 2 months? Now, I don't live in Chicago. I actually live up north there, in a little town called Milwaukee.
Which is Algonquin for the good land.
Thanks, Alice. So I can't really give you the boots on the ground type of information, but I can give you, or we can look at the worldwide healthcare data for this whole pandemic, and we can see from Johns Hopkins here that Cook County has the most confirmed cases of any county in the United States. Now, this is a little misleading because Cook County, contains all of the city of Chicago, whereas a city like New York is actually split up into a couple different counties. So if you combined all those New York City counties together, it would be a lot higher than Cook County. But still, it's not really that great of a look, no matter if they're at the top spot or maybe a couple spots down. Now, obviously, looking at that number holistically is not very encouraging, but if we move past that and start looking at the trends, things start looking a little bit better. This data from healthdata.org kind of shows that over the last month or so here, daily confirmed infections and daily deaths have been steadily decreasing over that time frame. It's definitely a good looking trend, and hopefully that trend does continue. And if it does continue, that would definitely give Chicago a pretty good case for being a potential NHL hub city. Definitely not any worse of a case in terms of safety than really any other city. Next up after safety is restrictions. Are there federal restrictions or local restrictions in place that would prevent from the NHL, the teams and the players from just getting up and running? At the time of recording this video, Canada still has its 14-day quarantine going on, but the United States does not, and Illinois does not, and Chicago does not. So in terms of being able to get players into the country, get them into the city, get them tested and get them going right away, there's really no problem with that. Thirdly is local logistics. Can the city, can the location handle 12 teams for 2-ish months? Does it have the hotels, the accommodations? Does it have the transportation to get those teams from the hotels to the rinks? Does it have the rinks for 12 teams, the ice sheets for practices and games? Does it have the eateries, the food, the catering? These players and staff need to be fed. Does it have possible isolated recreational activities such as golf courses? Because players aren't going to just want to be, just held up in their hotel rooms for 2 months. Does it have all those things? And in Chicago's case, you can say yes for all of those. It looks good. Last but not least is NHL logistics. So how does it work out for how the NHL wants to run this whole tournament shindig thing. With Las Vegas being one of the hub cities, you would expect that the other hub city would not be the home of a Western Conference team, because you'd expect the NHL probably to not want to have a team have home ice advantage during the playoffs. So if Las Vegas is a hub city and Chicago is a hub city, that means that's two Western Conference cities, which means that either the Blackhawks or the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be having home ice during the playoffs. And I don't think the NHL really wants that. I think they want a Western Conference city and a Eastern Conference city. So if Las Vegas ends up being a hub city, I think the front runners for the other hub cities is probably going to be a city like Columbus or Pittsburgh, or maybe an East Coast Canadian city. But if Las Vegas is not a hub city, then I think Chicago then becomes a front runner because of all the other boxes Chicago ticks. But at the same time, if none of those other cities really work out, or have the ability to host a city, whether it be safety or all the other reasons that we went through, then the NHL just pretty much has to suck it up and have Chicago be one of the host cities, or another city that has the ability to host it. So I think that's kind of the biggest question in terms of whether or not Chicago will be a host city. I think it ticks a lot of boxes. I think it looks like a strong candidate, but I think ultimately it's going to come down to how is the NHL going to want to stagger the cities and just have it, the whole tournament be run. So hopefully all that makes sense. Hopefully you get an understanding of all the different things that the NHL and these cities have to plan for and think about to get this show on the road. Let me know your thoughts, your questions, your comments down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that as always. But most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time.